Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Weekend Reading. It's Wednesday, and that's when we do it, even though it's called the weekend. I've gone over this before. It's Wednesday, new comic book day, even though there was a fuck up at my comic book store and I wasn't able to actually get them today, so I have to go back tomorrow. And, it's a good day to talk about comic books for however long I'm able to schedule it on this day. I don't know, my life's in a constant state of flux, but that's not important. What we do on Weekend Reading, for anyone who doesn't know, is I talk about what I read last weekend, talk about what I'm going to be reading this weekend, and then I bring up some topic for discussion or some question that I feel is relevant to the comic book industry or comic books in general. So let's get right to it. Last week, what did we have? What did we read last weekend? Well, last weekend was a sort of a themed weekend because it was Heroes Reborn, America's Mightiest Heroes, the trade paperback. Heroes Reborn, America's Mightiest Heroes, Companion Volume 1. And Heroes Reborn, America's Mightiest Heroes, Companion Volume 2. As you could guess, they were all sort of kind of connected to each other. My favorite of the week was the main series, Heroes Reborn, America's Mightiest Heroes. Like I said, they were all sort of connected. So the companion ones were basically just telling side stories in relation to the main story, but the main story was the better story. Heroes Reborn is not to be confused with the Heroes Reborn comic book launch that Marvel did in the 90s to try to gain a sort of resurgence in Marvel Comics. That didn't exactly work. And it's also not to be confused with the utterly terrible attempt to bring back the show Heroes that I don't even think lasted an entire season. No, Heroes Reborn, America's Mightiest Heroes is I believe 7 issues. Actually, technically 8. 8 issues. That is a miniseries that basically stems out of the current Avengers run, where the world has been completely changed. The Avengers don't exist, and the premier team of superheroes that patrols the world is the Squadron Supreme, and they represent America, and they represent America hard. They are gung-ho America First types. They believe in American expansion, American exceptionalism, all the things that sound good, but America has a habit of turning into really shitty things. So they kind of represent on the surface the good parts of America, but underneath the not so good parts of America. They're overly violent and don't believe in due process and all sorts of bad shit. They've been, the America's premier superhero team in the Avengers for a while under the control of Phil Coulson, who is somehow back from the dead. Phil Coulson in this world is, while the Squadron Supreme is the premier superhero team of America in this world, of the world actually in this world, and the Avengers don't exist, Phil Coulson is the president of the United States. The only Avenger who remembers that anything is different is Blade. Somehow he is completely unaffected by the changes. Everything's changed around him, but he knows the world is wrong. So he starts going around trying to figure out what happened, recruiting other Avengers. He finds Thor is now a hammerless drunk who has no powers. He finds Captain America is still frozen in the ice. When he finally gets out Captain America, they go and recruit Echo, who still has the power of the Phoenix, and she's for some reason in an insane asylum. She's in a criminal insane asylum because she still was she was still an assassin working for the Kingpin. The Star Brand isn't a baby anymore. She's like a little girl, and she was with Rocket Raccoon and Groot in outer space, at least until Rocket Raccoon was killed by Dr. Spectrum. By the way, the members of the Squadron Supreme, in case you don't know, are basically just rip-offs of the Justice League. Their names are Hyperion, who's like Superman, the Blur, who's like the Flash, Dr. Spectrum, who's like Green Lantern, Nighthawk, who's like Batman, and Power Princess, who's like Wonder Woman. Just a little heads up in case you weren't aware. Yeah, so Captain America and Blade go around recruiting all their teammates. Thor manages to get his hammer back. So things just start resetting themselves the right way. Oh, and Black Panther, like Wakanda's believed to be a myth in this world, but Black Panther is running around outside of Wakanda dressed as Ronin. He sneaks out occasionally, but he is in fact still the Black Panther. And Blade and Captain America go to Wakanda to get him on their side alongside Echo. And then, Thor and Starbrand show up. The Squadron Supreme gets ordered realizes that something is wrong, and they track Blade and Captain America to Wakanda. They decide to go invade themselves. Phil Coulson goes there as well. He has this weird, magic cube created by Mephisto. In this world, everyone worships Mephisto. God doesn't exist. Christianity is considered a pagan religion. The main religion is worship of Mephisto. And Coulson has a cube created by Mephisto that allowed him to trade the world, that allowed him to rewrite the world in his image. The Squadron Supreme goes to Wakanda, and as you might guess, they get beaten by the Avengers. The Avengers set everything back to right. Although the Squadron Supreme still exists in our world, and they remember their fake made-up world. Starbrand is still no longer a baby. She's still a little girl because, reality changing shit. And Phil Coulson is now a prisoner of Mephisto completely. And it turns out the whole thing was just a ploy by Mephisto to demonstrate his power, because he's got some bigger plan involving alternate reality versions of him in something called the Council of Red. So apparently they got a lot of Mephistos they got to deal with, which could be a real problem. So it's just a good miniseries that was the culmination of story events that are being set up in the Avengers that set up further events that I'm sure will be explored more in the Avengers and other comic books as time goes on. It looks like they're definitely planning something big in the future involving Mephisto. So, but it was a great series. I love alternate reality things. It was a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing what they're going to do with the remnants of that story coming up. That was last week. What, pray tell, do we got coming up this week? Well, we have Captain America Volume 5, All Die Young Part 2. And let's read the back like we normally do. One last showdown. Captain America has been framed for murder, imprisoned and then made a fugitive. His reputation speared and his spirit tested. Pardon me. Oh, the shadowy hands of the manipulative power elite. Now Cap will take his fight straight to the power elite, but his greatest enemy awaits, reborn deadlier than ever. The Red Skull, of course. Prepare for an all-out fight to the finish and a climatic conclusion to the saga that has tested the ethics and ideals of the man who embodies America like no other. Acclaimed writer Ta-Nehisi Coates concludes his extraordinary exploration of Steve Rogers, the man, the myth, the living legend that is Captain America. Collecting Captain America 26-30 by Ta-Nehisi Coates, Leonard Kirk, and Matt Mila. Captain America has been good lately, so we'll see how that goes. It's been an interesting story. And surprise, surprise, The Amazing Spider-Man. It feels like a lot of those lately. They've been pumping these out. The Amazing Spider-Man Volume 14, The Chameleon Conspiracy. One of Spider-Man's deadliest and most deceptive enemies returns. The Master of Disguise, known as the Chameleon, is about to make the biggest play of his villainous career. And to get to the bottom of this conspiracy, Spidey will need to team up with his super spy sister, Teresa. But with two sets of Parker Luck working against them, will they stand a chance against the anarchic alliance the Chameleon has formed with the Foreigner, Chance, and Jack-O-Lantern? I have never heard of the Foreigner. That's a character I've never heard of. Prepare for an unpredictable, revelatory tale that fans of the web-slinger dare not miss as Nick Spencer's high-octane saga takes its next dramatic twist. Collecting Spider-Man 66-69 and collecting Amazing Spider-Man 66-69 and giant-size Amazing Spider-Man Chameleon Conspiracy by Nick Spencer, Mark Bagley, Marcelo Ferreira, Carlos Gomez, Z. Carlos, John Dell, Wayne Foucher, Andrew Hennessy, Brian Reber, Maury Hollowell, and Andrew Crosley. So, Spider-Man's been fun lately. And we're back to 2 again this week. So that's it for the reads. Now it's on to the question of the week. The question of the week is a simple one this week. I don't know why I put what. This should have been a who question, but I wrote it as what. But we'll correct that to who. And the question is, who is the most overused character in comic books? Now, this is mostly going to be a big 2 Marvel, DC question, because they're the ones that are very big on continuity and shared universe. So you can see a lot of characters, especially with like how long so many of their characters have been around. This can include characters who have fielded multiple books at the same time, despite being like single characters. Like, say, Superman, Batman, or Spider-Man in Marvel. Those characters like Wolverine, who I think has also had more than one comic book just for himself, but then has also appeared in multiple team books, like several versions of the X-Men and X-Force and all sorts of shit. Then there should be characters that they just like that they're really trying to work, they're really trying to push, like when Deadpool became a big thing a couple of years ago, he just started showing up everywhere. It still does a little bit, he has his own series, maybe even more than one of his own series. He's showing up in team books. I think he was on X-Force for a while. He will show up in cameos in other people's comic books for comedic relief and other things. So it's, he's definitely like one of those characters they definitely like to push. They were pushing that, Spider-Gwen and Gwenpool and all that shit. It's just like, who is a character that gets overused, and maybe unnecessarily so, that gets way too much attention, especially when other characters aren't getting that much attention. So, yeah, that's it. That's basically it. Trying to keep it short and sweet here. See no reason why not to. Yeah. Who is the most overused character? Or like I originally said it, what is the most overused character? I guess some people could be considered a what, although that might seem somewhat dismissive and insulting. Yeah, let's just go with who. Who is the most overused character in comic books? Just someone they push way too much, way too hard. Not someone that doesn't need to exist at all, but just like, it doesn't need to be that much. Just ease it back a little bit. You got other people you could focus on. So, yep, that's it. That's it for this week. I hope you enjoy your weekend, and I hope you enjoy your reading. Have a good one.